That was Mike Vrabel today talking about the emotional and getting over the emotional up and down of that kind of win and then resetting for another road game in the NFL against a team you should beat. That was kind of, I think, left unsaid there in the question. But this is a spot for the Patriots, Mazz, and we started talking about it yesterday. This is a big spot for Vrabel and the Patriots. Your thoughts?
Huge. It's a huge spot. And as I listened to him there, I would say, good. He has started talking up New Orleans a little bit. Keep doing it. Tough environment, coming off a win. They're feeling good about themselves. Don't let the quarterback surprise you. He's actually half decent. And, whatever it is, put whatever spin you have to on this game if you are Mike Vrabel. Because that's what the good coaches do. They try to avoid letdowns. And it's hard to not compare anything to when the Patriots were at their best. But one of the things they did almost impeccably during the years of Belichick and Brady was avoid letdowns. They took care of business. So it wasn't just all about going to Indianapolis and beating Indianapolis and getting the tiebreaker or beating the Steelers in Pittsburgh. It was about beating the bad teams on the weeks that you had those teams so that you didn't then forfeit the big victory, because that's what those losses do. It's one thing to go into a game like Buffalo. And look, the Patriots, tremendous win. They should celebrate it, or they should have celebrated it, because we're now at Wednesday and we're on to the next game. So it's over. At some point, you have to turn that page and say, okay, that game's done. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. You deserve to celebrate it. Now it's time to play for New Orleans. And if you F this one up, it takes away what you did last week. So this, to me, is a huge, huge maturity test and a maturity of the team. And Vrabel, it's funny. I look at Vrabel, and I think we all do, and feel like he's never won anything as a coach, but we feel like he knows how to win.
Mm-hmm.
Because
he does. He carries him, exudes winner.
Right. And some of it is because of his days as a player. So that needs to translate. You got to hit your team over the head with that this week. You can't go into New Orleans and slip up.
As impressive as Sunday's win was, and it was, against that opponent, that spot, all of that, the reality is they're still not good enough to take anyone lightly.
Bingo.
I mean, even the good teams shouldn't take suck teams lightly. It happened to your Packers. They were feeling themselves after beating Detroit and then Washington, and then they lay an egg against Cleveland on the road. Like, how'd you blow that game? So I think he realizes, okay, these guys are rightfully feeling good after this game. We all should, but, enough. We could lose this game easily.
It's another test for him.
It is.
Another Q&A on this, Jimmy. I think it's number 2. He was asked about this as well in another fashion. Go ahead.
You talked about working guys harder after a win, being able to do that in the past. How do you handle an emotional game like that as far as getting them back to the
you practice and you go through meetings. You focus on new opponent. We don't really know this opponent. I would say this is new for a lot of players here and maybe some coaches here as far as their personnel and what they do and their skill players offensively and Olave and Shaheed and how good Kamara is and Miller coming on and running as hard as he did. They got all their tight ends are available and up ready to go, so we'll have to understand the difference between Jennings and when Taysom's in the game or Moreau and right on down the line. Defensively, so it's a big physical front. I've always appreciated the way Demario Davis plays the game, and corners are active, big, long. Played a football at 24 PBUs on a season as a defense, so they're creating turnovers, and that was the difference in last week's game.
It's another big test for Vrabel.
It is.
Also consider the spot. Next week, it's at Tennessee, and you know what that means to Vrabel.
Exactly.
And Stryker and anyone he's brought with him who was with him in Tennessee. I don't know exactly who those would be. Downing, the receiver coach.
Yeah, Todd Downing.
So there's there's some personnel there where it probably matters, but to Vrabel the most. That was personal for him. And, he's got that one circled on his calendar. I don't know how many of his players would, maybe Landry, but, you get my drift. So here's the Buffalo game, which obviously they put a lot into and have a huge crest coming off of. And then on the other side is Tennessee, which means a lot to Vrabel, certainly, and probably some others in that building, and in between you got this spot against arguably the worst team in the league. So ideally, hopefully you get to a point where you can overlook this game and it's just a hole in the calendar that we all sort of get through. But let's see if Vrabel can get to that place where that's what that is, because there's obviously no guarantees here. You're not that much better than the Saints.
No, and so Murray's got it right. You're not at a point where you can overlook anyone yet. And look, from that standpoint, it's incumbent upon the coaching staff to not overlook the game either. You don't have an eye on Tennessee, and I have confidence that Vrabel's been around long enough to know that, but some of the assistants, I don't know, McDaniels I have confidence in could do it, and stay focused. But they as bad as the Saints are projected to be, I operate under the premise that, like, if you don't show up and do your job, you're going to lose, or you could lose. And so I'm no huge Spencer Rattler fan. And he's ranked like 22nd in the league in rating. He's not 32nd, okay? And he's got 6 touchdowns, 3 picks.
That guy's coming the next week.
Right,
He's coming.
Okay, right.
But Patriots are going to face them all.
So, and they do have some players who have some pedigree and some explosiveness. Olave's really good.
Oh, I love him.
And Kamara has been a tremendous player in the league.
They played Buffalo pretty
too.
well and tight for like 3 quarters before they ultimately got blown out. And then you have another couple of losses. They were close. They lost to San Francisco 26-21.
The Pats can lose this game.
Yeah,
Definitely they can.
They could.
Absolutely
if they're
they
not
can.
paying attention, they're not locked in, they could.
So let's see what Vrabel's got. It's another spot. It's just it's an easy opponent, but it's a real spot.
It is.
It's really hard to win back-to-back road games. They're going to try and win 3 straight road games, which they've never done as a franchise in consecutive weeks. But across the league, the second of 2 road games. Very, very poor winning percentage. So big spot for Vrabel. They lose this one. Last week doesn't matter. And you're kind of back to square one. So, again, another spot where we're just sort of seeing Vrabel, and I'm fascinated and see how he's doing it. I mean, how they've done it so far is not how we would have predicted, Mazz. They're not disciplined. They're not smart. They're not taking advantage of bad football. They're not running the ball and playing defense. So that's what we all thought. If they were going to be 3-2 after the first 5 weeks, we all thought they would have controlled clock, run the ball, played defense, been smart, cut down on penalties, haven't turned the ball over, grinding out games by being just tougher and smarter and more disciplined. And it's been just the opposite. They don't have any of the markings of what we would classically call a well-coached team. Turnovers, penalties, leaky on defense. They don't run the ball well. They're one of the worst running teams in the league. So, how are they doing it? And that question fascinates me. I mean, the first and obvious answer is quarterback play. I mean, that accounts for everything. And why I've been saying all year, if you have a good quarterback, right, you're at least going to be middle of the pack. You just can't be worse than that. And that's just not the way that it works, and that's the way it's happening. But also, I think we are seeing the Vrabel effect. What is it? If they're not tough, smart, disciplined, they don't run the ball, they're not consistent on defense, they commit penalties and they commit turnovers, what? So that sort of thing is just, it's interesting to me. And is it just, I think, as you've hit on it, it's like the confidence that he exudes, the vibe that he exudes. They would say culture, but I think that's overrated and too early for that word. It's something about, I don't know, the player empowerment thing that you've hit on. I think I heard it again today. Another example of it where we would roll our eyes, but maybe this is what works for Vrabel. It was a question about the penalties. And Beadle was just talking about this. He did a great job kind of calling out the bullcrap of this answer. But it's more insight into Vrabel. He was asked about, again, just their massive amount of penalties. Number 12, Jimmy.
You said that you've learned that penalties are not a strong indicator of wins. Mm-hmm. How did that information change your approach to coaching that?
Well, it's not that that we don't care about penalties, right? We want to make great decisions, and but I also understand that team fouls are ones that happen before the snap, like we have to be better on. And Hunter communicating with the official, and thinking that we got, hoping we got that cleaned up. We don't want to line up offsides. We don't want to extend drives, competition fouls, and we ask them to play full tilt to the tackle. But then there's a line there, and we have to play by 2 things: the whistle, right? I just don't understand how a professional athlete could assume that anybody in this league was down, and we're going to play to the whistle. and we're going to play to 2 feet in the white. And we have to, pass rush and not hit the quarterback in the head. Can't hit him in the knees. And then when another player has 2 feet in the white, we can't hit him or give the appearance, that we're hitting him. And I think Schooler ran over there and stood there, and the same guy got tackled by Marcus, and the officials saw that. And, so again, you just have to understand kind of what they're looking at. But we have to play aggressive. I think that there has to be an aggressiveness to the way that we play, but also that comes into the decision-making and when to make a great decision. And, it's hard for me to sit here and fault Josh, from last week, and there's no whistle and running backs acting like he's going to flip the ball back to the quarterback. And, I mean, certainly would have liked to not had a penalty called, but I can see it both ways. Just ask that they, blow the whistle. And it's the easy way for us to say that the play's over and that our efforts need to stop. And but I don't know how else to coach it. I don't know how else to coach professional players on defense in this league with the type of athletes that you're going against. It's hard to bring them down with one guy. They keep running, they bounce in. Next thing you know. So again, we'll keep coaching it. And it's not that it's not important. It's important. But it's also there's something behind it. I'll tell you, every X-play run, I'm going to have tail.
So you can stop. It's a long answer, but it's a big bag of excuses.
It is. It is a big bag of excuses. What? So Joshua Farmer's okay?
So, and Beto, they did a good job. They played the audio. They have the play-by-play.
They went through it like the Zapruder film. There's a whistle.
There was a whistle. After he throttled him on the ground on a knee, then every ref on the field blew the whistle, and there was this cacophony of whistles. Yeah, and then there was like a big thing of whistles. But there was, when Cook was on the ground on his knee, there was a whistle. And it's true. In real time, he's trying to flip the ball back, so Farmer kept playing because Cook was still playing. But there was a whistle. There was clearly a whistle. They played it. I don't need to play it for you. There was clearly a whistle in real time. And Farmer kept going with a stupid penalty. And I'm sorry. Vrabel says, well, you can't even give the appearance of hitting him. No, Brandon Schooler, because he's a hard-o, Jamoke, Rudy wannabe, cannot control himself. And the guy, he gets 1 or 2 snaps a game. On one of his 1 or 2 snaps a game, the guy's running out of bounds because he's such a hard piece. Rudy bleep show. He's got to run with the guy and try and get him out. And he rightfully got a flag because the way that he carried himself was just asking for it. And so we got it. It was stupid. It was on Schooler. It wasn't on the ref because of the appearance of a hit. And it wasn't on the ref because there was no whistle. No, there was a whistle. And Hunter Henry, now it's the ref's fault that Hunter Henry wasn't lined up because he wouldn't tell him. Again, as a caller to the midday said, and Collinsworth said it on the broadcast, they're not going to correct you anymore. Those side judges aren't going to give you the correction. It's up to you. So these are all on the players. All the way of saying, though, Vrabel's excusing them all.
He is excusing them.
He gets their back. He has their support, player empowerment, and there's different ways to do it. Like the way I think Pete Carroll would do it or Gerard Mayo. Some guys, the way they do it, I'm like, that's not going to work. That's soft. That's too soft. That's not going to work. But somehow the way Vrabel does it, I think, works. And that penalty excuse, that big bag of penalty excuses, I think is another sort of example of it.
Yeah, my hope is that he's soft on it now, and then when they get to a certain point, he'll tighten the screws a little. That's my hope. And that at the moment, he wants them to play hard.
They gave him 33 yards. They were holding a 2-possession lead in the fourth quarter on the verge of a big upset and a real franchise sort of altering win. And they gave him 33 yards and a touchdown because they played stupidly. And Vrabel kind of excused it away, which normally you would say that is lousy coaching. So I don't know how he gets away with it or what the sauce is there, but he's got some sauce.
Because he's focused on the effort and the intensity of it now, I think. That's what it is. It's like, I want them to play hard. So if that means that a referee sees something that we don't, I'm going to take it, is what he's saying. I'm just giving you my 2 cents. But to me, those things are going to bite him in the ass sooner or later.